Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea. Welcome back to another GSL qualifier match with Nightmare playing for Team Matcherino here in the top left, fighting off ByuN's playing for the Shopify Rebellion here in the bottom right of Babylon. A Terran versus Protoss. Now, a lot of people are looking at this and thinking to themselves, what is Nightmare? Who is this guy? What are we looking at over here? Well, Nightmare is a pretty darn decent Protoss player. I think he tends to lean towards the more standard type of playstyle, and I am very well aware I'm saying that as he's proxy the pilot on the map. Don't think he's going to be capable of using that anymore. So there's a Reaper now just kind of just lurking around there. Probe's still going to try it though. Is this Adept is going to deny that Reaper from moving into that angle. The fact that this pylon finished up is a pretty decent tell as well for ByuN's immediately. Pylons are not super expensive. They don't cost any gas. If you build a third pylon, that usually means you're delaying something else. And this time that delay is going to come in the tech. There's no tech here at all for Nightmare. This is just a naked triple gate without anything extra. It means it could be Stalkers. It could be Adepts coming out of there. ByuN's is on the high ground already. Has a very fast second barracks, by the way. What in the heck is this? I have never seen this particular setup. That barracks went down before the starport did. What? That is extremely rare. Now I have a medevac on the way. I am absolutely not familiar with this build. He's zero familiar. He's gonna get I guess a quick stim here, or maybe swap this over to get a Raven. He just doesn't have the gas for a Raven and a tank. He also doesn't have the gas for stim and a tank. He just doesn't have the gas, period. I think the Reaper might have spotted that there's a gate here. There's no bunker on the low ground. This is an interesting call here coming out of ByuN's, who is going to go across the map rather than saying, hey, I'm kind of happy with just defending my natural and, stopping whatever attack you have planned for me. What I'm going to be doing here is I'll be counter-attacking with a double mine drop. This forces a warp in at home, and if that warp in isn't at home, you're going to be in some serious trouble. Now, there is a warp in at home. That still means that both of these mineral lines will need to be pulled off the minerals. So that's going to cost a little bit of mining time. Is it going to be enough mining time, though? I am not so sure. ByuN's kind of stuck here in the corner. This didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. Let me tell you that much. This mine drop here is actually going to end up dying. Both mines do fall down from the sky. And so one probe here. Whoa, a nice burrow coming out of ByuN's. That was real cute. As this probe now is going to get shot at. Poof! 2 worker kills at once. Quite a bit of mining time denied. ByuN's is safe here on the low ground. Has that second barracks. Has stim almost done. And the second tank is on the way out as well. Let's see how quick Nightmare is in the response. One Adept gets taken out. And worker counts here are 39 to 36. Third base, relatively late as well for Nightmare. So not a super great economic position here for our Protoss player, but at the same time, you just gotta look at it like, well, how likely is it that this tank push is going to deal some real damage? And I think the likelihood of that is right around 0. Because there's so many Stalkers on the map already. By the time this Marine tank fort makes its way across the map, well, there's not going to be any Marines left whatsoever to speak of. This is a nice warp in, 3 extra Stalkers. Not the greatest control on them, though. Still not the greatest control. I feel like Nightmare hasn't really blanked back. Blinked in the past in quite a while. Now we get another blink forward. Still an okay trade. There is a tank here set up. Second tank also trying to set up. These are 6 Stalkers. Now 5, now 4. It's not enough. You need 11 Stalker shots to kill a tank. So if your first volley is with 6 Stalkers and your second volley with 5, 6 plus 5 for the people in the back that are real slow at the math, is 11. That would have been enough. But instead, one more Stalker ended up dying before the second volley. So then it's 6 and 4, and that only adds up to 10, guys. Guess what? 10 is not enough if you need 11. And no, that was the case here. We see a very low worker count overall for Nightmare. We see a relatively high worker count for ByuN's at 49. He's gonna get a third CC as well. Has 3 tanks in position. Now snipes this observer. 5 gateways coming down as well for our good friend Nightmare, who's adding in a warp prism. Now, with a warp prism, you can fly across the map and counterattack the moment your opponent moves out. It seems like Nightmare is he's waiting for a drop. This is like waiting for the train at a train station. That isn't actually a train station anymore. It's like there's some rails there, and you have like the old station building. There might be still one person working, you know, just keeping everything kind of in an okay shape. But a train hasn't arrived here in the past 15 years. You're just standing there looking at your watch like, huh. According to this booklet from 1965, a train is supposed to come every hour and a half. I've been standing here for 3 hours now. That is awful. Like, well, I don't think the train is going to come there. And I feel like Nightmare is realizing that as well. It's moved away from the bottom side of the map here. Now it's going to move towards the middle. He's losing another observer. That's the second one in this game. ByuN with a very... Oh. Just going to send this out. Never a huge fan of these types of moves. It's not going to get scouted so far. Not yet. Unloads. Triple tank. ByuN is playing this very safe, secure. Just chilling at home. Doesn't feel comfortable with the unit count he has right now. As these 8 Marines are now moving out. Are going to get a kill on a probe at least. No, Nightmare too fast with that as well. As these Marines are going to go on a bit of a chase. Triple tanks in the back helping out. Target fire on the Stalkers needs to be good as the Marines and Marauders are dishing out a bit of damage. +1 just barely didn't finish in time for this. But I don't think it matters too much because this is going to get cleaned up. The real damage, however, is being done right now in the main base as we see more and more Zealot being warped in. Double mines actually connecting pretty poorly. Actually, it was just a single mine shot. My apologies. This army is getting surrounded as well. Nightmare actually with a lot of damage here in the main base. Meanwhile, attacking into Colossus behind this with the +1 upgrade as well. He's getting so much done here, which I hadn't expected whatsoever. He's dealing some serious damage. Now, we have these 3 Stalkers. Ooh, gonna get picked up with the Prism now. That was a cute move. Dark Shrine on the way as well. A Viking starts for ByuN, because ByuN wants to deal with this freaking Prism. He's getting real tired of that. That dealt way more damage than it ever should have. There's no Ghost Academy out yet either. There's no +2 armor on the way. ByuN is in a world of trouble. He really is. And I don't really see a solid way out of this world of trouble. Well, he's gonna need to do something, but before he can do something, he needs to get rid of that Prism. So he'll wait for the Viking. At the same time, it's Nightmare who wants to be aggressive right now. Sees his opponent's army size, says, hey, there's no tanks, there's no mines. I have quite a few Zealots. I have a Colossus. Maybe I can do something here, buddy? And I think he might be right. The Marine count is actually relatively high, which makes this Colossus not complete garbage like it usually would be. We have an attack move here on this command center, which is an odd move by itself. Seems like Nightmare has decided to run. No new Colossus, by the way, quite on the way yet, as 3 DTs do end up getting warped in. Now I'm saying, yep, you send 1 into the natural, 1 into the third, and you fly 1 in towards the main base here with your Prism. It seems like such a clean bit of execution. Let's take a look at the first person here for our good friend ByuN. It's gonna see the Prism at least, that's something. Now sees that his SCVs are being attacked. That is always quite frustrating. Turret in the naturals there already. Is there anything in the main waiting to pop this DT to rip it open? I think the answer might just be no. Good split up here, ByuN. Could have just landed the Vikings, of course, as well. But then you always have a chance that your opponent ends up escaping. Quick little scan, and that worked out. Another turret now on the way up. Lots of Zealots moving in. Not a single mine to help out. Colossus attacking the command center here. This is not quite how you want to be using this Colossus damage, Nightmare. I am no Proto specialist, but that I do know for sure. A single kill so far on that Colossus. This Colossus doesn't believe in quantity, but in quality. It's like, well, I could have killed 3 Marines, but what if I really damage this command center? That's also fun. That's true. It's also fun. Armor right now halfway done. Second Colossus is out. Third Colossus is on the way. Fourth base is done and is mining. Fifth base starts. This is all being played off of 3 gas, by the way. That is a very low gas count. For example, if Nightmare would have 4 or 5 gas, that would be more than 3 gas. And also if he would have taken a 6th, a 7th or an 8th gas, that also would have been significantly more than 3 gases. So yeah, that's really how you can see that it's a low gas count that Nightmare is playing on. Because there's so many more that he could have still taken on the amount of bases he's on. As we're We're gonna get another fight here. ByuN with Ghost out. Couple of Vikings. Legitimately, just a couple of Vikings. Just 2. After all, we now have a triple drop heading. I have no clue where this triple drop is gonna go. I don't think ByuN quite knows either. He's like, we'll just start sailing and we'll see where there's land, guys. And it lands in the main base. This is not gonna be it. I think an EMP needs to target down all of these stalkers and then try and run away. But all of his medevacs have also gone down, so I think the running away is going to be fairly difficult here. Some units get picked up. One Marauder gets Kerrigan behind. As the double Marauder single Ghost and the Marine will now join up the main force to take out this 5th base. That's actually quite nice. There's no fort here for ByuN. ByuN has no follow-up upgrades. Is ByuN all in? Yes, he is. This is not too rare when watching a ByuN game, is that he often kind of gets stuck in these situations where he's at 1-1 upgrades, no extra bases coming in, and he really believes he just needs to deal a crap ton of damage. Gonna lose quite a few units here that dropped out. At the same time, though, that might expose Nightmare on the left side. I actually think that is going to expose Nightmare on the left side. Look at that stim forward. There's no units at home at all. This base is toast. And that might actually be kind of good. We're gonna get a bit of a chase here. The pylon's gonna get shot down first. We have another stim. He's not gonna get the base. He's not gonna get the base at all here. There's no mines to help him retreat either. EMPs his own medevacs there. That is usually not an optimal play. EMPing your own medevacs. As all of these Marauders and Marines are gonna get taken out. Vikings in the sky still trying to help. If that base had gone down, I almost start to believe again, but now I'm not so sure, my friends. Now I'm not so sure. 5th base being rebuilt, this time on the bottom side, as these Zealots are just straight up running into the opponent's forces. I think 2-3 Zealots will end up dying there before anything too bad happens. It's not all 10 Zealots that end up going down. We have a big rotation coming out of ByuN. I'm just a huge fan of just boosting across the map like an idiot, and I love watching it. Probably wants to go in towards the main base or clear this fort. And I think both plays here are technically viable. It's gonna go towards the main. Let's see, is there a recall available? There's not. That means that this main base and its production could perhaps be in a bit of trouble. Losing 6-7 gateways could be bad. Although I'm not sure if it's worse than necessarily, you know, just losing a nexus or something. The process here is fairly slow, that I can tell you. So you now have another force moving towards the left side. Great rotations here by ByuN. Really nice rotations. Sees that there's an army there. Is not aware of the nexus on the bottom left. Is trying to pick this up and run away, but loses so many units in the process. It does feel like that ByuN overstayed his welcome in the main base just a little bit. 54 workers to 66. Army supplies 90 to 54. Yeah, this isn't feeling all that great here for our good friend ByuN. Way down in supply. It's gonna be way down in upgrade soon as well. Right now he's only down 1 upgrade. That's going to continue growing most likely. Finally we get the armory in the 2nd EV, but there's no fort CC yet. It's gonna need to float his main base over towards this location, and that's I think what we're seeing happen here. Oh no, he's actually gonna build a new one. Okay. That is a late transition into the mid game, let me tell you that much. Well, he's already in the mid game, he is Ghost after all. There's a 3rd base. Oh. Messing up my observing over there. My apologies. We have a couple of disruptors out at the moment, and this base is being forced to lift. ByuN tries to go for a base trade, but just a single warp in is enough to stop that attempt, and that's usually not a very good sign if that's the case. Just don't think there's enough here for ByuN right now. He's still trying. He really is just trying his best, and you know, you gotta admire the grit in a way, but at the same time, well, it is fairly over. 182 supply to 138. Army supplies are a little bit closer, but upgrades are in favor here of Nightmare as well. Nightmare is on 5 bases. ByuN is, well, on half a base right now. He's 500 mineral income at the moment. He's going to be capable of getting 10 Marines a minute. That's not a great amount. ByuN coming in with a big attack. Very large attack, actually. We'll see how ready Nightmare is for that. He seems move commandy right now. Gonna get a big disruptor shot. Misses it completely, though. Loses all of his disruptors. ByuN with some absolutely insane fighting here initially. Takes out every single disruptor. If this was a game where it was even remotely close, this would have been really bad. This Nightmare did not control that well at all. But because the game is so extremely over. I don't actually think it's going to matter. That is so sad. That is actually really sad. Nightmare right now trying his absolute best to lose this game, and ByuN's is trying his best to win it, but you know, the way that the game is set up right now, it's rigged. It's rigged in Nightmare's favor. It's impossible for Nightmare to lose at the moment, even with a move command like that. It's gonna send in another Zealot run by, which I think is a correct call. We have an orbital being researched here. I love taking down these rocks so that there's no flank possibility. I think that is a very good call. Solid stuff here by Nightmare. He's gonna take map number 1 on Babylon. Game number 2 here with a double gas opener on Gresvan coming out of ByuN's. So a switch up from what we saw in the previous game. Reactor first as well. This is almost a Terran versus Terran build. In Terran versus Terran, it's really common to open up with like 4 or 6 Reapers from a reactor first, and then get like 3 cars with it or something like that. Then make a move out, and you're fighting Reaper car with Reaper car. Except because you went a reactor first, you're gonna have an extra unit, right? When your opponent has 3, you're gonna have 4, and it makes your attack quite a bit stronger. So we often see that type of setup. Now, ByuN's here, I can't really imagine him actually doing this in this matchup. He's gonna get 4 Reapers. This is exactly what I hadn't expected. I mean, after I saw a reactor first, I understood it was a possibility, but it is just a really rare opener. He's gonna have to build a tech lab on this because he's severely supply blocked. Okay, he cancelled one of his SCVs here. It's gonna cut quite a bit in his worker count overall. 23 workers right now versus 25. As a Stargate is on the way defensively for Nightmare, we have a battery up already. And he's working off of 2 adepts so far, with a 3rd one on the way. Walls of the secondary Reaper spot. And it's going to be 4 Reapers and 2 cars, I think, is the main setup that we're looking at right now. We're going to have to wait and see how ByuN's is going to navigate all of this. A Phoenix as the first unit for a Nightmare. That is very understandable. And probably the correct call as well. Here come the adepts. I love this move, just moving in forward, saying, hey, I want to fight some of these Reapers as quickly as I can, and then probably return back to my battery, but this didn't go the way he planned. I don't think he wanted to lose a single adept here, and now he ends up trading 2 adepts for a Hellion and 2 Reapers, which is not necessarily a great trade. 2 more gateways being added in. I think this is also a bit for walling purposes. There is a Phoenix right now on the high ground. With a second Phoenix about to pop out, this Reaper is gonna die, and these Phoenix should start hunting right away, looking for these other units, seeing if they can take them out. And if they can, that would be real freaking nice here for Nightmare. I'm loving the way this is looking for ByuN's though. I'm really liking the way this is looking for ByuN's. Once again with a fast second barracks, just delaying that starport, but this time the delay is much more significant, even with a 3rd barracks on the way right now. None of this though being spotted here by Nightmare, and that makes life extremely scary for him because he has no clue as to what is kicking off as this Phoenix stays alive with, what is that, 2 HP here? You can see in the bottom right, 2 HP, and ByuN's with a fake move out is probably really scaring the ever-living crap out of Nightmare. The question now is, what are ByuN's actual plans? Is ByuN's gonna move in with Stim and 2-3 Cyclones, or is he gonna follow this up with tanks and kind of take it from there? We see a massive delay right now on the robotics bay timing. Just an absolutely massive delay. Here come 5 adepts, 4 Phoenixes, and might be capable of cleaning up this little force here. There's no more lifts remaining on those Phoenix, and that means that yes, all of those Marines will end up going down, but at the same time, all adepts also will fall. And don't forget, there is already triple barracks producing. We have a starport on the way. Immortal now desperately being chronoed out. Nightmare extremely afraid even of taking a 3rd base right now, 5 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. That is kind of late for a 3rd base, even against the 2-gas aggressive opener. You really don't want to get your 3rd base much later than the 5-minute mark usually. Even if you're being seriously attacked, like, well, Nightmare felt like he was being this game. Marauders are in production, 2 at a time. Well, 1 at a time from the barracks, but they're synchronized, so it feels like it's 2 at a time. Feels good. Concussive Shell could and should probably start as we're gonna see what this factory is gonna do. I'm kind of expecting just a straight up reactor here. No other shenanigans as this SCV will get taken out. ByuN trying to bait in those Phoenixes, and with the double Cyclone, of course, is a powerful tool at potentially killing one or two. Another supply block here for ByuN, as he's at 78 out of 78. Can't really do very much. Has a low Marine Marauder count. Pretty decent tech count, though. That's what, 2 Cyclones, fast Medevacs out as well. Here we go, Phoenix is moving over. There is a turret in the main base. No turret in the natural. No Fort gas either quite yet. As a third CC gets constructed. Ooh, in the line position. This is being spotted here by this observer. That's going to trigger this adept to move across the map to try and deny that for a little bit. At least kill an SCV once. This is an attack. Is this an attack that can deal damage? Yeah, technically it is. If there's no battery there, I'm pretty sure that the Nightmare is dead. But with the battery, makes matters a little bit more tricky. Now these rocks are being taken out. Adept arrives here as a Ghost Academy also gets plopped down. We have +1 armor on the way for ByuN. And Nightmare. Still actually, I think without a forge at this point. Yeah, no forge. Very low infrastructure. So supplies look very close and that's great and all, but it doesn't really feel like Nightmare is setting up for a mid-game in which I value his infrastructure at all. Like he's actually setting up for an absolutely terrible mid-game. So, this adept now takes out one SCV. He's going to take out a second SCV perhaps. No, doesn't seem to be the case as a turret gets constructed here as well. 5 Phoenixes flying across the map. Finally have that forge coming down, but that's extremely late. Colossus count is at 3, but this is a tiny little army. Being on the map just in and by itself is just very scary at the moment for Nightmare. He's gonna try and kill some of these Marauders. We'll get the lifts off. Interesting force fields, not necessarily very good at all. As one Marauder is gonna get saved still by ByuN. Really cares about individual units. This Marauder is being brought back home. Look at that. Keep an eye on him. See how many kills he's gonna get. How will you repay your country after they've saved you? You know, surely you feel something right now for that medevac. Like a feeling of obligation to pay it back. Keeping it safe by killing stalkers at a high pace. Surely. Gonna keep this selected for a bit. So we'll have the 5 Phoenix squad just kind of running around. Seeing if it can do anything. Triple Colossus are here as well. Cannon. In the main base. Very defensive setup coming out of Nightmare. This is a powerful army though. This is a powerful force. 3 MPs are available. There's no real anti-Colossus, but Marauders by themselves often are anti-Colossus enough. There's still a huge army in the main. Not so sure about that, buddy. Nightmare. You might want to come over here and try to deal with all of this crap. EMP is gonna rain on top of this army. There we go. That's a big EMP. Purification Nova also connects. That's also a pretty decently sized Purification Nova. As all of these Colossus here are being taken out. I think the Marauder died. Don't have it selected anymore. May he rest in peace. As the fort base will get cancelled. Good fight coming out of ByuN. As the Zealot run by did absolutely nothing. Don't have any medevacs right now at home to help this army going for a rotation towards the third perhaps. But Nightmare having full info with his observer and keeping 25-30 supply in the main is not the brightest move that I've seen in my life. We're now going to get a lift on one of these ghosts. Second ghost also just falls at the hands of these Stalkers and Colossus. Phoenix is coming in for a chase. I almost feel like they could properly chase this. There's not that much anti-air. But oh well. It is the way it is. Big Zealot run by being sent out. There's no mines. I think this is the one thing that has really surprised me so far. Not just this game, but in this series. Is kind of the lack of mines sprawled around the map to catch these types of run-bys. To catch the opponent's movement as well. Haven't been seeing a whole lot of that quite yet. Once more run-by is going to hit this pace. And ByuN will need to deal with this. There's no ghost in this army. That makes this army significantly weaker than it was before. The size is bigger, but without Ghost, it's really difficult to fight a Protoss army that consists of a lot of Zealots and Colossus. This is kind of scary here for the Zealots. They need to be careful. They're being pulled away. Medevacs now showing up as well. There's still 3 Zealots remaining. See this Observer just kind of flying around, keeping an eye on this army. Purification Nova is going to connect with 2 units here. ByuN believed that he could snipe that, and he couldn't. Now it's actually in a pretty rough position. Tried sniping. failed. Lost 20 supply there. He's now gonna lose even more as these Phoenixes going in for pickups. 2-2 is about to finish up. This is a really small army right now that ByuN is working with. And look, I'm not saying that Nightmare's army is the biggest, but he does have 4 Disruptors. And if all of those get the shoot, that could be a big deal. Big blink forward here coming in. Guardian Shield needs to be used before the EMP connects. Guardian Shield needs to be used. Don't forget, there's no extra upgrades coming in here for Nightmare. Nightmare, despite having 69 workers and 4 bases, is very all-in here. This is absolutely an all-in. If he doesn't kill his opponent, he's going to be down 3 upgrades for pretty much the rest of the game as he starts his +2 right now. Here we go with the Disruptors way too far forward. All 5 of them get popped like balloons at a fun fair. This is unbelievable. Ay, 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 ay. 163 supply to 151. We have 8 barracks right now pumping out bio units. Well, currently there's only 5 pumping, but the possibility of 8 barracks pumping is there. That's what really matters, is how many, potentially could be pumping. That's a real big deal. These 2 Disruptors are being sent into play. 2 Disruptors with this main army as well. We have these Phoenixes just flying around. The Zealot run by... with the run by in towards the 3rd base right now. Poof, poof. Gonna take out a couple of SCVs here. +3 is on the way. Yeah, I'm really feeling ByuN in this game. Just purely based on the infrastructure and the upgrades. I'm having such a hard time seeing Nightmare get a good fight in which he can kind of push through. Because this is the type of fight where you look at it and you think like, yeah, Nightmare is winning. He's pushing this back. But the overall fight wasn't even that efficient here for Nightmare. It really wasn't. And ByuN right now could make a decision. He could go for a base trade with this army. He could also go for a flank. Instead, he's going to go back home to deal with this force. The least fond of that decision out of all of the ones that, all the choices here. I think this is probably the worst one. I much would have preferred either a flank or just a straight up attack. 3rd is was being attacked here. As almost no SCVs end up going down. 2 armies once again back on the map. 2-2 upgrades versus 1. +1 still. I was going to say 1-1, but there's no armor upgrade. +2 is about to finish up, though, for Nightmare. I mean, Nightmare should be struggling with these armies individually. And he's definitely going to be struggling with catching these armies individually. As now ByuN decides to even move him forward. Deal a bit of damage. There's going to be a massive flank here. You can feel it. You can smell it. Oh, it's coming. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better watch out. I'm telling you why. ByuN's flank is going down. These Stalkers are going down as well as Super Battery gets activated. Not very useful. Colossus gets split up. I think you can just fight this Colossus +3 Stalker army here, ByuN. You definitely can, but ByuN says, wait, you have no damage output? I have 4 Medivacs are healing the entire time. Good luck, buddy. Look at that Colossus trying to kill a Marauder. That's a hilarious sight. 192 supply to 137. Beautiful movement here. Coming out of ByuN, who is waiting for his 3-3 before the massive fight, is lacking perhaps in medevac count, only has 5 out right now and has a 200 supply army. So we can see everything is a little bit bruised and battered around. But these medevacs are going to be... the new ones are going to be quite useful. I'd love to see a second starport maybe even. We have a fusion core on the way as ByuN steams forward, half of his army in the orange. Supporter of the Dutch national soccer team. These Disruptors will get popped and this robotics facility as a result will also go down. Mine starting to burrow. And I think this, my dear friends, is just going to be it. Even if all of these Purification Novas hit, which, to be quite frank, they really do hit in a big way, it won't matter. There's simply way too much. There's still a drop in the main base as well that's not being dealt with. GG gets caught. ByuN wins game number 2 and ties up this series. ByuN here using the age-old rule is that if you win with a certain build, you should just repeat it. So we're gonna see another 2-gas opener here coming on Royal Blood. Yes, standard core before an access here for Nightmare. I'd be surprised if he switches things up completely. Nightmare, that is. I think we're gonna see another Stargate opener from him. Phoenix Colossus is just the most solid way of dealing with a double gas opener. It's really difficult to play other types of openers against this. It's because the drop or whatever attack they're doing hits so freaking fast. it makes it real difficult here for Protoss players to deal with that appropriately. Reaper makes its way across the map. I'm gonna have to wait and see exactly what ByuN's plans are. This is not really the same build, it's just the same opener. Because last time we saw that reactor first with the 4 Reapers, with the, what was it, 2 Hellions. This time it's going to be a single Reaper into a reactor, a low ground command center, which carries significant amount of risk when playing just a single Reaper. But he's gonna get away with it. And then that fast starport. So we're gonna see a much quicker mine drop over here. Just really a switch up coming out of ByuN. Second mine as well coming in. The depot is already halfway done. Reaper still alive, trying to get some type of information. Has seen the Stargate actually, so that is good info to have. I wonder what ByuN is exactly gonna be doing with that information. He could do loads of things with it. Could say to himself, hey, see that you have a Stargate, I'm gonna keep my mines at home. Gonna keep maybe a mine in the middle of the map. See if there's some type of Oracle play here. I'm not a huge fan of doing this type of stuff. Just a naked mine in the middle of the map. But maybe it's... Oh. Now 2 mines in the middle of the map. Now we're talking. Did he calculate the path of this thing correctly? I don't think he did. As the Phoenix is going to move across the map and is not going to fly into these mines. Mines will need to set themselves up once more. Just he's very keen on setting those mines up in similar positions, just slightly different. Here comes the next Phoenix. No, not quite going to be there. As I think Nightmare believes there's a drop heading out on the map right now. He's like, wait a second. Why is there no factory unit out? Where are those factory units? I know you had a fast factory and yet they're not out. That means they're somewhere in a medevac on the map most likely. And although they're somewhere on the map, they're not in a medevac. That's the only thing that I can say for now. He's gonna try and bait the Reaper in here. Oh, look at this! He's baiting the Phoenixes! Oh well. That... It's not the greatest bait I've seen in my life, but there was an attempt. There definitely was an attempt. What he wanted to do was to have the Phoenixes spot the Reaper, then run back to the mines, and then, I guess, burst on top of one of these guys. That definitely did not work out. Frustrating, yet the way that it is sometimes in life. I wonder what this Raven is gonna do. As it is a Phoenix Twilight opener, Raven is going to be fairly useless here. Wait, what? There's 2 Ravens. This is possibly the worst build order that ByuN could have gone for against this particular opener. Oh, mines! Poof. That's 1 hit. Look at this. Oh my god, the genius that is ByuN. Beautiful play there. What an insanely good bait. Oh, good lord. Lifting it up, pretending that he forgot to send it home. Nightmare. Oi, 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 oi. The absolute fish that he is. Eat that hook. Oi, 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 my friend. That was bait, and it was clear bait. Now, this still looks fairly okay for Nightmare, just because Ravens are so bad against Phoenix Charge. ByuN basically just invested an absolute crap ton of gas into 2 units that shouldn't achieve anything whatsoever. I mean, they're going to be capable of throwing down maybe 4 or 5 auto turrets, but you can just disengage so easily with Phoenix Zealot that that's no issue. You want to have these against things like Colossus, so you can interference matrix, well, literally everything in their mom. That was going to be the plan. He was going to go in with 3, maybe even 4 interference matrices and then go for it. Now, that plan has been ruined. This is a different type of plan, and it's going to be freaking rough, let me tell you that. It's going to be freaking rough. He's been doing a good job at keeping these Ravens alive, which is already difficult by itself. Now moving out across the map, even if you do keep the Ravens alive, it's just going to be so freaking awkward. Yeah. It's gonna get 1 Phoenix. Range on Cyclone. It's so ridiculous how long the range on Cyclones is. 15 range on the Cyclone. I am not okay with that as another Phoenix, perhaps in some trouble. Not quite. Was close though. These Adept decide to shade back home. Look at the Zealot count here. It isn't actually that large. There's no upgrades either. If ByuN were to just stay at home right now, I think he would be in a really good spot. Observer barely stays alive. Oh no, this is a bad scan. It doesn't see anything. That's why it's a bad scan. Now he sees the army. And I think he should piss off over here. I don't think you can fight this ByuN. Oh, here we go. Auto turrets being plumped down. There's quite a bit of damage output actually coming out of these auto turrets. One more is available. Next one almost available. This fight is way better than I thought it was gonna go. Next auto turret can be thrown down as well. There's 2 auto turrets available here, ByuN. There's 2 auto turrets available right now. They can be used. And they will be used, I hope. There we go. They're gonna be used. Ravens need to be sent back home. Maybe can keep some of them alive, or at least one of them alive. This fight went a million times better than I thought it would have. A million times better. Nightmare getting hit by that anti-armor missile was not a brilliant move. Actually kind of frustrating. Now that 3rd CC is up, upgrades are looking phenomenal for ByuN, as he has +1 and his opponent has 0 upgrades. So he's up an entire upgrade. Should really start his +1 armor as well, as adding in more of these barracks too. 3 Phoenixes alive, but barely. There's really not that much HP left remaining for them. And I honestly think that, once again, despite there being a 4th pace, this just feels to me like Nightmare is kind of all in at this point. He needs to do something. I just don't think that ByuN is aware of this. And that could really be an issue. That could really be an issue. Because if you're not aware of that, then it's gonna suck. Here we have a Zealot run by coming in right now. ByuN's gonna start repairing this. It's very important the wall stays up. Yeah, he's gonna get repaired. This is a scary push. I don't quite understand why we're here exactly as ByuN. But ByuN is here and loses the Raven with 75 energy. Well, I understand why he's here. I'm just not super agreeing with this. Of course, he doesn't have the information that we have, doesn't have boost available, and there is blink. That means that all these medevacs might just end up going down. One more blink. Yep, there we go. 93 supply to 130. Still, Nightmare completely all-inning. 60 workers. Yes, there's 4 bases, but there's no forge. He has nothing. This is it. And I'm afraid that it's going to work as well, because ByuN just lost 2 full medevacs. And I'm pretty sure an empty one as well. Mines have gone down. There's nothing to deal with these Zealots. Colossus from a distance firing on these Marines. More Zealots are being sent in with that reinforcing gate from the bottom right. GG gets called. Nightmare wins the game. And with that also wins the series here versus ByuN, qualifying for the GSL. GSL, as I mentioned before, is coming up relatively soon. So I'm very excited for that. Personally, I'm very excited for that. It's gonna start. Let me have a quick look. On the 10th of October. So that's a little over 2 weeks from now, or a little under 2 weeks, perhaps exactly 2 weeks. It's soon, at least, is what I'm trying to say. I'm looking forward to that. Lots of cool players. Groups are already announced as well. They have their Patreon up as always. You can get their replays if you want, and be sure to check all of that out. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thanks, and bye-bye.